Welcome back to Sochi and the Poker Stars Championship. It is the final table of the main event. We are still four-handed. We do not lose a player during the break. I'm James Hartigan. He is Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my babies. We are on the home stretch here in Sochi.
So we're about to kick off level 27. Blinds have gone to 30,000, 60,000 with a 10,000 ante. And after this 90-minute level, we will take a 45-minute dinner break. So Vladimir Troyanovsky currently has the chip lead, just ahead of Pavel Shershikov. Sayed Gavam from Iran has a 40 big blind stack. Just behind him, Dmitry Vitkind with 37 big blinds. Earlier we lost Lavrentini and Timur Bubnov. We will keep playing until we have a champion. Cards up coverage of every single hand as we play down to a winner who will lift the trophy and receive that first prize of more than 29 million rubles.
I don't really know how I feel about this final table in that it feels like it's slow, but also plenty is happening.
Well, these are the payouts. Let me tell you how they translate into US dollars. Fourth place, nearly 200 grand. 235,000 US for third. 326k for second. More than $500,000 for the winner. I do think, Joe, that the pace of play at the final table has helped. It's actually been fun to watch. And even though the big car crashes are few and far between, there's enough meaty hands that we can kind of really get a sense of how these guys play.
How much longer do you think Gavam's ponytail has gotten since we started today?
So first hand of the new blind level. First hand back from break. And looks like it's going to be blind on blind. Shershikov completes in the small with 10-7. Vitkind with 9 deuce in the big. And Vitkind is raised.
Why not? Espuela94 on Twitch asks, what was the buy-in for the main event?
The buy-in was roughly $5,500 US dollars. And that's pretty much the price point of our championship main events. 5k, 5,000 euros, $5,000.
Not a lot of variation there. James, I was out during the last level. I see the free roll password is Hanyu.
Correct, and I do think it's probably worth registering, Joe, because there's a very good chance that we are still here when the free roll kicks off. So we might as well play it while we're commentating on the action here in Sochi.
Do we know what the context is on Hanyu? That's more what I was interested in.
I have absolutely no idea of the context of any of this week's free roll passwords. I don't ask questions, I just read them out. Capital H, little a, little n, little y, little u.
I was really hoping it would be Kafefe. Whatever.
Vitkind with Queen 8 in the small blind. Queen 10 for Sayed Gavam in the big.
So assuming all things are equal, we're likely to have a Russian champion in our first ever Russian event. That's pretty cool. I mean, granted, 9/10 of the field was Russian.
It was closer to 80%, but tomatoes. Point is that Gavam is the only non-Russian left at this final table. And he's raised here. And gets a fold from Vitkind. We have played 112 hands today. Logic dictates that the next hand will be number 113.
Registered for the free roll.
Nice.
Valiant says, I believe all this week's passwords were medalists from the Sochi Winter Olympics. Now, if you notice, I sometimes say Sochi and sometimes say Sachi. Because I haven't figured out which one I like yet. You guys say Sachi.
Yes.
How do Russians say it? I bet they say Sochi, don't they?
Well, if I think about the voiceover in the commercial that runs during the breaks, it's Sochi Kosino.
Yeah, that sounds more Russian to me. So, under the gun. 7-6 suited. Under the gun's a little deceptive at this point. Once we're four-handed, it's all kind of the same. I mean, obviously, the button still matters. But it's not like you gotta be super tight anymore when you're under the gun. And we're going 3 ways to this flop. 9, 5, 4, 2 spades. So, not a bad flop at all for Shershikov. Although technically he does not have the best hand yet.
King high, still good for now.
I wonder what the most amount of equity you can have and not have the best hand is. It's got to be pretty close to this.
It's insane if you think about it. 2 live cards, flush draw, straight draw.
I'm really good at bricking in these situations.
So Shershikov continues for 260,000. Two overs for Garvam, and as we say, King High officially still the best hand for now. But he folds. Troianovsky also passes. And Shershikov reclaims the chip lead, although there's pretty much nothing in it. Shershikov is the current boss of this table.
That has got to be the shortest story so far for being 6 hours into a final table ever. We lost this guy and that guy, and that's it. Here we are.
So this is Garvam against Shershikov.
Wow.
Garvam raised the button. Shershikov defended his big blind. Ace-8 against King-Queen and an Ace-Queen-7 2-club flop.
It's flops like this that make you want to play poker. Like when you see a guy hit top pair and the nut flush draw and like you're just like, whatever, I'm invincible, bro. Let's get it in. These are the kinds of flops that make you love poker. Flopping a set is another one. Sets just feel so good.
So Garvam with second pair has continued for 130,000. Shershikov calls with 87% equity. Deuce of diamonds changes nothing.
Then it comes deuce of diamonds, deuce of spades, and you're like, I hate poker.
Action goes check, check.
I love poker again.
The jack of clubs on the river. Shershikov did not need to improve, but he now has the nut flush. Garvam left with just a pair of queens.
I mean, wouldn't you always rather just have the nuts?
Of course. Well, Shershikov is hoping that Garvam bets this river.
Opa Garvam style.
If he does, he's going to get check raised. Instead, he takes the showdown value, checks behind, and Shershikov wins a smaller pot than he would have liked.
That's one problem with making the nuts.
He adds 320k to his stack, up to 3.8 million. Vlad's second in chips with 3.4 million. And Garvam now bringing up the rear with 2 million, around 35 big blinds.
We say this a lot, but it's anybody's game still. I'll wait till we get about 3-handed before I really start bigging up how much I want Vlad to win this for him. Still a pretty good story, regardless. I think any of the Russians. Got the ex-military guy, Shershikov. You got Dimitri, who's been a grinder on the tour forever, flying under the radar. And, of course, Vlad, the Beast. Beast is an overused term, but I do think it applies in Vlad's case.
Garvin with Jack 10 suited under the gun. Raises to 125,000. Jack 3 for Vlad. He folds the button. Pavel folds the small blind. Dimitri's got Jack 7 in the bag.
Jack Lee on Twitch says they didn't talk about Shershikov's big bluff, though. Is that something memorable? Was I in here for that?
It was during the last level. It was a great hand. Probably the hand of the final table so far. A river bluff against Garvin, which he then showed.
Oh. Like Molaram with the heart? Look at Garvin. How do you show him a bluff? How can you do it to that guy? Look at him. Ponytailed sweetie.
Garvin continuing with the best hand, 125,000. Litkind has completely missed this flop. He folds. And we see a switcheroo at the bottom end of the leaderboard as Garvin moves ahead of Vitkind. But again, only just. Bringing us to hand 116 of this final table.
Take those glasses off. Let us see your handsome face.
Vlad first to act. He folds. Shershikov's on the button. And Shershikov has kings.
King balls.
So raised to 120,000. Queens for Vitkind.
Ay-ya. Unfortunately, there is no equality in the deck of poker just yet. The men outrank the women.
Unless they're jacks.
Even still, I think the jacks make like 22% more.
Vitkind counting out a 3-bet. A fist full of green. Those are the 25k chips with a bit of blue on top. The blues being 5ks. So it's a re-raise to 340,000. Garvin has folded the big blind. Action back on Shershikov.
Will we see a 4-bet or will we see a flat call? At this point, I'm pretty sure we're 4-betting. Pretty rare at this stage of the tournament to see too much creativity with big pocket pairs. How do you keep this still? How do you act this slowly? I'd have been all in and standing already. That noise in your ear holes is a 4-bet alert.
Re-raising to 700,000. And expect the 5-bet shove from Vitkind.
John Delano's tweet, also applicable. Insert car crash sound effects.
Vitkind shoves. Shershikov calls. It's a cooler. Queens into kings.
When he gets snap called, he knows that there's a really good shot. Queens, they're racing at best. And this is not at best.
Shershikov dominates Vitkind here. 4-1 favorite to eliminate Vitkind in 4th place and take us down to 3 players.
He's already holding his heart.
Какая?
Jack, Jack, 8. Spades not a factor. 2 outs for Vitkind. Looking for a queen on the turn or river. The turn card is a king, and it's all over.
Shershikov is a sure thing.
Vitkind drawing dead on the turn, eliminated in 4th place. Dimitri cashes for 10.78 million rubles, roughly 190,000 US dollars.
Thank you. It's okay, no problem.
And just like that, we are down to 3 players, and Shershikov has moved away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, he has.
It's been really close between him and Troianovsky for most of the last 2 hours. But Shershikov now has 100 big blinds, 6 million chips. Troianovsky has 3.3 million. Garvam, 2.1 million.
Garvam once again finds himself in a position where there's no other place to ladder. He's the shorty. Man, Shershikov, he's been the chip leader, what, like 8 or 9 different times in this tournament?
Yeah, and bear in mind that he took that chip lead late into day 3, I think it was, when he eliminated Jason Wheeler in that huge hand. Held that chip lead throughout day 4, through most of day 5. Didn't come into the final table with the chip lead, but was challenging for it, and is now back on top. 100 big blinds at this stage. 3-handed. The Sochi main event final table.
We're on our way to a long heads-up battle.
King, queen.
A walk for Vladimir Troianovsky in the big blind there. So the river card in that hand, completely immaterial. Obviously, it has to be dealt. But the king on the turn ended it, and it ended Vitkind's tournament life. I think it's fair to say that Shershikov was a fan of that turn card.
Prove it.
Well, this is the moment that the king hit the turn. Oh, yes. Bangs table. Then gets it quietly.
Just pure reaction in the moment. Then composes himself, realizes he's got to do the right thing, shake the hand of his opponent. It's so bittersweet, these final tables. Somebody's got to lose, you know? There can only be one winner.
It's just like Highlander, but without the decapitation. Although Neil Johnson is mooting that idea for Prague. So ace.
It's testing very well.
King, deuce. You lot are sick. It's like, yeah, we didn't ask the players, we asked the Twitch audience, and they were all for it. Jack 5 of hearts for Troianovsky, and he has flopped the flush draw. Jack high currently the best hand, and with a bet, he takes it down.
Wonder how big of... No, I can't even propose that. Just edit that out. Grizzly Adams 22 on Twitch says, I just missed it. Was it a flip? In a way. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I do consider those kind of be like flips because sometimes you're going to be the one dealt kings and sometimes you're going to be the one dealt queens.
Yeah.
When the money goes in, no, not a flip. But you're just as likely.
More of a cooler. And Dmitry Vitkin was on the receiving end. Syed Garvam has now laddered up into 3rd place. Does trail at the moment with 34 big blinds, but one double up. And he is definitely a contender.
I guess the difference between this and an online poker tournament is that nobody's had to go home to tend to a bear in their house. Do you remember that? That really famous screen grab? I think it was Nanonoko.
Yes.
Playing against a guy in Russia. He's like, look, can we take a break? There's a bear in my house. One of my all-time favorite moments.
Not good. 9-4.
A walk for Troinovsky.
Danny on Twitter asks, is Stapes a geek of something too?
I think this is reference to the fact that Matt just had a superhero geek out during the last level. Obviously, I'll go off on random Bond rants. What's your thing?
I'm such a loser that I'm not that good at anything. Like, I was like never cool. I liked geeky stuff, but I wasn't geeky enough for the geeks even. Like, I played Magic and they were like, you really suck at this. We don't even let you in our group. And I was like, but you're the losers. And they were like, we know, but you're a bigger loser.
I feel like I want to walk across the room and give you a big hug now.
Well, I know a lot about STDs now. Well, if that counts.
It doesn't. Garvam has raised the button, 125,000. 10-9 the hand for Shershikov.
Ай, прошу прощения.
Ace, King, 10. Second pair for Garvam. Bottom pair for Shershikov.
I know a lot about Seinfeld.
Okay, so that would be your thing.
It's very narrow. It's not like a whole genre like you guys think, but yeah, I know a lot about Seinfeld.
We had a Seinfeld quiz, right, on Superfan versus States.
We must have,
We've
yeah.
done that as a specialist subject. I think you might have won that one.
There's no way I would lose. If I did lose, it's because I threw it.
So Garvam has continued here with the best hand. Gets a fold from Shershikov. On to the next one.
Couple of folks on Twitch just mentioning that, you know, everyone's super quiet and stoic and still at this table, and all I can say is they're playing for a lot of money. They've been playing for many hours throughout the course of this week, and only 2 of them speak the same language, so it's going to be tough to get things too lively here, because no matter what happens, one guy's going to be really happy and the other one isn't. There we go. Someone on Twitch asked if I watched The Office US version. Yes, I did. Not while it was on originally, but recently in the last year I watched it, and I will say that I think Michael Scott belongs in the pantheon of great sitcom characters with Homer Simpson and... why can't I think of any others right now? Frasier. Just absolute brilliant character. Sam Malone. All right,
Если не ускупит
back to the poker,
психику
I
изуродовал,
think.
это я хоть
Probably not, though, since Vlad's
одному
going to fold.
канадцу.
Well, here's an interesting tweet, Joe.
Ну какой, если не секрет?
4-8 разные.
А, 4 разных.
Он там вспоминал,
Да.
там известный, там очень сильный.
One of our colleagues at PokerStars, David Lyons, says, "Hi, this is Dave from PokerStars Towers." Hello, Dave. Fancy a special extra 5k free roll with stream-only password?
Какой-то
I'm glad that you did a little digging on this tweet to find out it was legit. I thought it was just a guy being like, hey, why don't you give us an extra free roll?
No, I can confirm that David Lyons
Макс.
is one of the suits at PokerStars, and he is very much in a position to make things happen. So, on behalf of the audience, I'm going to say, yes, David, let's have a 5k free roll.
Ну, стрит ловил там 5, 6, 7. По флопу горшот он
Does the
поставил.
PokerStars fat cat know about this? Did he leave the keys to the petty cash box open? What? Free roll?
5, 6, король надо был. Что меня оплатил там все.
The David Lyons?
Вспоминал потом. Долго очень.
That's the one. Garvam raising the button here with ace-6. Shershikov in the big blind with 7-5 of hearts.
Come on. Play it. Come on. Everybody loves 7-5 of hearts. 57 varieties of hearts. Let's go. Let's do this.
6 raise, 355.
Guillaume asks, you guys making a PSC stop in Geneva anytime soon? Nope. Thanks for your question.
A reminder that if you want to see where the PokerStars Championship is going, check out PokerStarsLive.com. You'll see that for the rest of this year, we have confirmed the stops in Barcelona. That's the next one in August. And Prague. Funnily enough, we're going to end 2017. Guess ending the first season of the PokerStars Championship in Prague. Always a great destination, always a big event.
Nice little takedown there. 3-bet in the 7-5 suited. I like it.
So here's how things stand. Shershikov close to 100 big blinds, 5.8 million. Vladimir Troyanovsky second in chips with 60 big blinds. And Said Garvam bringing up the rear with 35 bigs. So yeah, so we've had this offer from David Lyons at PokerStars to run an extra free roll with $5,000 in the prize pool instead of the usual 2.
What do we have to do to accept it?
Well, I'm hoping that Dave's watching because I'm saying yes. I'm sure the audience would love it if there was another free roll. You could either run it at the same time or as a second chance free roll, maybe 15 minutes later, but we'll happily give out the password on the stream.
I favorited the tweet, so hopefully that's enough.
Here's a reminder of what they are still playing for in this Sochi main event. 13.3 million rubles for third, 18.4 million for second, 29 million for the winner. And I'll give you the dollar conversions on those amounts. 235,000 for third, 326,000 for second, more than 500,000, more than $500,000 US for the champ. Plus, of course, the prestigious gold trophy.
What is happening? This free roll is one of the weirdest things that's ever happened.
Done. We are deploying right now. Search for, despite the constant in the client, you guys can guess the password. Can you get on that, Joe?
Yeah, it's not there. Oh, there it is. Yeah, despite the constant. And I'm going to take a guess at the password based on something I see people writing in the Twitch chat.
By the way, the tournament clock was paused briefly there while the tournament staff spoke to the players. There was a realization that because we're only at level 27, there was every chance that this final table could go into the wee hours of tomorrow morning. Now, they've asked the players if after the dinner break they would agree, and bear in mind this was in consultation with the players, this was not an ultimatum, whether they would be happy to start reducing the blind levels. And bear in mind now they're three-handed, they're going to get to play more hands anyway, and I can tell you that the tournament staff and the players, by mutual consent, have agreed that after the dinner break, we will play a 75-minute level, then a 60-minute level, then a 45-minute level, and then we'll go down to 30-minute levels.
So I guess my prediction of a long heads-up battle may not come true. I'm sorry, I'm so excited about this free roll that I'm not even paying attention to what's happening in this hand. Let's catch up the action. This was a limp pot. And Troianovsky then led at it.
For 65,000. But he's now checked the turn. And Shershikov, who has the best hand with a pair of sevens, is deciding whether to bet into this pot of 280,000.
Bet 125.
So yeah, nice work by David Lyons and his team. An extra free roll, people. $5,000 in the prize pool. So just to be clear, we've got our regular 2K free roll at the usual time, 9:15 Central European time. But 15 minutes before that, a special extra free roll with $5,000 in the prize pool. And yes, if you've been across current events, if you've been across, shall we say, a bizarre tweet that was sent out by a major political figure, you will be able to locate the free roll by searching despite the constant negative press in the clients, and you should be able to work out what the password is.
This has got to be the most expensive joke on the topic thus far.
5 plus.
Well, this is going on the podcast, that's for sure.
I love the fact you have to write it down because you know full well that tomorrow when we come to record the podcast, you will have forgotten it.
Correct. Y'all can hear me type it in. There you go. Done.
So this is blind on blind. Shershikov completes in the small with Queen 9. Garvam with King 9.
108.
That's a raise.
Six call.
Shershikov calls. He is dominated, out of position, without the betting lead. But flops golden. Top two.
Oh, man.
Garvam with second pair.
How much trouble can you get into with second pair? I guess that's the relevant question here.
Six check.
Action check to Garvam. He was the pre-flop aggressor. 400,000 in the middle.
Three bet. 155.
Well, Garvam will continue for 155,000.
So apparently you can get into some trouble with second pair.
By the way, nearly 400 people have registered for the extra 5k free roll, so I think most people are working it out.
Our loss is your gain.
6 raise.
Check raise from Shershikov.
Yeah, you can understand a raise here. It's a super wet board. You hope your opponent's got a draw they can call you with. I don't know what Gavam style is going to do. Vanessa Selfs is cracking me up too right now. I made the mistake of catching him on Twitter, like, literally right before we were about to go to air. Like, we're counting down 10 seconds, and James was, like, looking over at me because I had tears in my eyes this morning laughing so hard.
Well, Garvam called the check raise. 4 of clubs hits the turn.
This is a big pot, kids.
Yeah, 1.2 million in the middle. Garvam has 1.5 million behind. having taken the betting lead on the flop, you'd imagine, especially as it's a blank on the turn, that Shershikov would now continue betting.
Fairly loose call by Gavam on the flop. Now, he could think that Shershikov is semi-bluffing a lot, too, and that 9's going to be good sometimes, but...
Okay, this bet is interesting. 900,000. I would argue that this is not a bet that Garvam can call. Now, if he thinks his 9 is good, he has to go with it all the way. I would say that, really, this is a fold. But weighing on his mind will be that hand where he got bluffed by Shershikov.
Man, oh man. The mind games, the leveling. I mean, if Shershikov gets him to put his money in here, he looks like a genius for showing that bluff.
Absolutely. And if Garvam thinks there's the slightest chance he's being bluffed or that a pair of 9s could be good, it's still second pair with a strong kicker, then I think he's going to pull the trigger.
All in.
He shoves!
Wow.
Shershikov calls, and we are going to lose Sayed Garvam in third place unless there is a king on the river. He's got 3 outs.
3 auta.
We know.
3.
This is incredible. We've only just said goodbye to Dmitry Vitkind, and now we could be going heads up.
8-9. Такую заремоил.
93% chance we go heads up.
9-9 поменьше ставить.
Take those odds.
Sayed Garvam looking for a king on the river. The poker fan who runs a sports book in Iran, looking for the double up, looking to get lucky. He doesn't. He's eliminated in third place. And we are heads up here in Sochi.
GG Gavam.
He cashes for 13.3 million rubles, 235,000 US dollars. And Pavel Shershikov will go into the heads-up battle against Vladimir Troinovsky with a 2-1, scratch that, better than 2-1 chip lead. 8 million chips for Shershikov, 3.5 million for Troinovsky. That's 135 big blinds versus 58 big blinds.
Sayed Gavam from Iran. Well, Iran pretty bad there.
Shershikov
With his patented table slap.
celebrates the win.
All Russia heads up. I love it.
Yeah, confirmation that the title will be staying in Russia. The first major event that PokerStars has run in this country will be won by a Russian player. Will it be the cash game pro Pavel Shershikov, or will it be Vladimir Troinovsky, the super high roller? Troinovsky's got his work cut out, but he has got the pedigree. Now, obviously, we're going to reset before that heads-up battle. We are going to take a short break here on PokerStars TV. And when we come back, we will play heads-up, cards up, until one player remains with all the chips, and they win that first prize, plus the trophy and title. The closing stages of the Sochi main event about to get underway. Heads up between Shershikov and Troinovsky. We're only gone for 10 minutes. It's a short break. Go nowhere. Stay with us for the closing chapter of this battle.